Hey, it's Aaron the Metal Theologian. It's been kind of a weird week listening-wise. Been sort of between phase a little bit. I'm still sort of in this weird spot. So I decided I'm just going to listen to like all my 45s, and I just like started at A. I've sort of been going through, not like, in sort of a forced session, but in sort of a way to like force myself to sort of pull some of the ones out that I haven't listened to in a long time. Because, you get into it, you settle on your favorites. Like the Satan single is one of my fucking all-time favorite things ever. You know what I mean? Or this one, actually, the Hollow Ground single. That guy. Yeah, for keeping score, this is a copied sleeve, so, but I'm okay with that. The sleeves are cool, but I'm willing to compromise. It's going to save me $400 on a record to get one without a sleeve, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, this is another one where I made that same compromise, man, the fucking High Treason single. But, if I really wanted to get one of these with a sleeve, that'd be one thing, but there's so many other records I want to, I'm just too impatient, you know what I mean? I won't spend that much time with one. That's not even true, never mind. I was going down a rabbit hole with that one, and there wasn't any carrot down at the end of it, you know what I'm saying? There was just like a rabbit turd or something. Yeah, I sort of, a few things I pulled out recently, though. I streamed a couple weeks ago. I think some of y'all might have seen that. And, yeah, so I was pulling out records, like, people were like, basically, I said, ask me to pull out anything you want to see, and I'll pull it out if I have it. So, sort of like test me, right? But I don't have the Metal Merchant record. So next time I do that, don't even bother asking. It's okay. Yeah, but someone asked for this one, actually, and I hadn't played this in a long time. And I actually like this record a lot more than I remember liking it, because I didn't play it while I was streaming, but afterwards I put it on. I played it like 3 or 4 times, and it's a really good heavy metal record. The singer kind of stays like in the same sort of high register all the way through, and it gets a little bit annoying. And also, he has a little bit of a faux Bruce Dickinson thing going on that really, every time I listen to this, I can't help but think of Barren Cross, It's like it starts with the singer, and then I notice every other thing they have in common, which is maybe arbitrary, It's just this one attribute. They both sort of have like this sort of ersatz Dickinson sound to them, So, but yeah, so of course I had to pull this out too, because this is my favorite Barren Cross. Yeah, this is probably the corniest one. Well, I have this one, and then I have Atomic Arena, and I have the EP. And of the three, this one's probably the corniest, but this is my favorite too, man. It just has the best songs on it, man. Like Give Your Life to Jesus and shit. Just a Touch is great. Rock for the King is a little bit weak. Believe is a good song. Dying Day is great. Yeah, man. It's fucking loaded with bangers. Super cheesy, man. If you can't handle some cheese, forget it. But if you can, this record's fucking worth it, But yeah, I don't know how Robert Thomas Waddell would feel after being compared to the dude from Barren Cross. But you know something? I really like the fucking Ray Gun record, so I'll take it. I can imagine Ray Gun giving him a hard time about it. Like they're hanging out. They run into each other like now, like at the bar, and they're like, "Hey, you see that fucking guy on YouTube? He was saying that you sound like the dude from Barren Cross." He'd be like, "No, man, fuck you. He does. I don't sound like the dude from Barren Cross, man. Fuck you. Cut it out." Speaking of shit to cut out, this is such an unfortunate record cover, man. It bums me out because this doesn't look like a metal record, but this fucking band Dervish was fantastic, man, and totally like just like these like new wave of British heavy metal sound that you want when you're in that mindset. This is an old OPM one. This is probably easier to find than a lot of them because they did more of them. Yeah, they did 750 of this one, and again, I think the cover was a big mistake, but man, this thing is totally worth having because the only other thing they really recorded was Cyclone on the Kent Rocks comp, which you probably don't have. Unless you're Bip Bop Boom, in which case I'm pretty sure you have one. Unless you did something really bad. But and like there are lots of other good songs on this thing that are just as hot as Cyclones, so it's totally worth listening to. And at least personally, man, I overlook this thing all the time because it's hard for me to pull the record out with this cover. When you hear metal, this isn't what I have in mind. You know what I mean? This looks like I don't know, like a Buzz Oven cover or something like that. It's not even that it's such a bad cover. I mean, I don't think it's a great cover anyway, but like it's more that it's so inappropriate for metal. A couple other records I got my head around more recently. I've really come around on Riot in a pretty big way, just like in the last year or two. I've never not liked Riot. I've always liked them. They've sort of been one of those every so often bands, and it kind of just clicked like relatively recently. So every so often, I just like this record in particular. I just sort of get a hankering to pull out, man. Swords and Tequila will stay in my head for days, and that's still the standout cut in my estimation on this record. But the whole thing, but like that gets you fired up, and then you want to hear the whole rest of the record too. It's not like you listen to that and then it's like, okay, well now I'm fucking done, That's a sign of a good band. Yeah, this is another one, man, that I've had for probably about 20 years, but I really just started to appreciate within the last year or two. Because for some reason I had it in my head that this was like a speed metal band, Or like some sort of thrash band, or I don't know what the hell I even thought, but they're not like that. It's funny, there's someone on the stream who was talking about this, said it was sounded like, I don't know, he compared it to Merciful Fate, and I don't feel like it's a very good touch point even now. I think there is a touch point in the sense of there being good hooks, but these guys don't have the prog leanings that Merciful Fate did, and the singer kind of sounds more like, young than, like King Diamond, I'm not saying, I don't want to say trained, because I think people are inclined to, overestimate how much formal training people like he have actually had singing like that. But yeah, it's just sort of like that really sort of young, naive sound, like what you hear on some of these 45s. So that's cool. The next one up is actually Holocaust, but fuck it, I'll throw that on. So I figure everybody knows Holocaust. I mean, who doesn't have this, right? But that's ridiculous. I mean, lots of you probably have never heard Holocaust, and this band is fucking great, man. This 45 is actually, I think it's 3 of the songs are live, and then 1 isn't, or 2 aren't. No, I don't know. Maybe it all is. I don't even fucking know. I sort of got this record after my peak. I actually found my Holocaust records when I was still in high school. And I really only knew about him because of that Metallica record, right? Where they did the Small Hours. And they had a copy. I was going through the records at Chris's Warped Records in Lakewood, actually. And they had a copy of the Night Comers and a copy of Live Hot Curry and Wine and a copy of No Man's Land. They had them for $2 each. So I was like, well, these are all coming home. And I was kind of bummed that I only had the live version of the Small Hours because I kind of wanted to hear the original still. Because I'll be honest, man, Metallica set me running and looking for a lot of shit like that, like Budgie and, I had heard of Killing Joke before, but I gave them another look because Metallica's cover and shit. So yeah, I looked around for years though for a fucking Holocaust record that would have that song on it, and I didn't know there was none. The only version that was ever recorded was that live one, at least back in the original day. But it doesn't really make any difference at all thinking about it because I still bought every other Holocaust record I ever came across in the interim time. It's not like I missed out on one because I was holding out for a specific record that didn't exist. And the only one I can think of that I really got after that big batch was that Sound of Souls one, which is sort of like, I think it was like the main guy sort of doing his own thing later on and just resurrecting the Holocaust name for whatever reason. Sound of Souls, I'm pretty sure the album is called it. Has a really obvious drum machine on it, so that's going to put a lot of people off. But it's a really weird, sort of eccentric record, and kind of dark, but not in the typical sort of metal way of being dark at all. You know what I mean? There's sort of a genuine sort of like dealing with shit about that record without coming off at all as like contrived or phony or anything. It's a really interesting record and a unique record too. Probably should have pulled it out, but I didn't think I was going to pontificate about it for 10 minutes. But yeah, if you like the early Holocaust, you still may not like the Sound of Souls. I think it's like 87, that one. And it's an EP. It's a long EP, but it's like 30 minutes, maybe 25, 30 minutes. It's an underrated record, I think. So what else we have sitting here? Yeah, so I promised, last time I was on Heavy Metallurgy, I promised Dwayne Lazarus that I'd give this record another shot. Actually, I think what I said was more like, I'll give that one another chance than like an actual promise. But, you know, follow it up here, due diligence. And, you know, so I really kind of like this record now. And there's never been a time before in my life when I would have said that, man. I bought this when I was in high school, and I first discovered Rainbow, and I hated it. I gave it another chance in my 20s, and I hated it. Sometime between my 30s and my 40s, I give it another chance. This is probably the fourth copy of this record that I've owned. Maybe only the third, because I might not have actually bought one in high school. I'm sure I didn't pay more than $1 for it at any point. And I've actually had this one for long enough that I don't remember where I got it or where it came from or anything, so. But, yeah, Jolyn Turner sounded like someone, you know, Jolyn Turner sounded like someone specific, and I was like, that's part of what put me off about this. And I think I know who it was, but I don't want to say it and be wrong, because it won't be as funny. But I don't know, man. Ever since I turned 50, there are certain things that don't bother me that used to, like, bother the shit out of me. And one of them is just kind of the schmaltz of records like this. You know what I mean? Those AOR moves and shit. Like, I'm still not really into, you know, the glam shit when it comes to sort of the softer end of the metal thing. But when the ship sort of dips its toe into AOR a little bit, I'm kind of okay at this point in my life, you know? I'm actually just going to bump this ahead because I don't want to go out of my way to get fucking an ad put on the video. And I just want to hear what the fucking singer sounds like again. Actually, that's the really good song, so I need to pick a worse one, because it's more obvious when he's crooning a little bit, you know? There was one record I listened to recently where I was like, oh, this guy really sounds like Lou Gramm. That's why I hated this record. I was thinking it was this one, but it might have been a different one. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty bad, dude. When you compare this to what Rainbow was doing a couple years earlier, this is fucking terrible, you know? But if you sort of look at it on its own terms, like, you know, like Come Taste the Band by Deep Purple in the 70s, you know? It's just sort of a product of its time. Like, it doesn't have any of that sort of timeless appeal that the great records by these bands have, you know? Because a record like, you know, Rising, I think you can see has a timeless appeal, even though it is so a product of the 70s. You know, that you would never, that record couldn't have been made in any other decade, you know, and come out quite like that. But even so, I think it kind of transcends that aspect of itself, you know. This record does not do that straight between the eyes, and neither does Come Taste the Band, the way Deep Purple and Rock does, say. But, we're going to fire up this one, man, the Badge single here. Yeah, but if you can just sort of, like, dig it for what it is, it's kind of fun, you know? Like, if you leave me a comment saying, dude, that fucking Straight Between the Eyes record is such a piece of shit, I have tried so hard to like that fucking record, and I just do not see it. And I've completely thrown my fucking hands up. Just know that I could have left you exactly the same comment 3 weeks ago before I pulled the record out again after being on Metallurgy. What else do we have here? I went through a little mini kick where I was listening to this fucking record every day. Because you know something? I was talking about this with one of my IRL friends here, who also keeps up on all y'all's drama, so be careful. I really love this record, man. This is kind of Dwayne's influence, too. And, like, I have a copy of Animal Magnetism, too, that I pulled out again. I was like, maybe I should give, you know, like, the whole sort of thing about, like, shit not bothering me. Maybe I could appreciate Love Drive and Animal Magnetism, because I've never really thought much. Both those records I've always just thought have been kind of boring. Just really kind of mediocre, like they're just sort of there. Like, like a Foreigner record or something like that. Like there's nothing like offensive about it or anything, but it just sort of exists. Whereas this one, then I feel like this sort of came out and like this is really kind of a legitimate 80s metal record. Not on the heavy end of the spectrum, obviously, but for 83 or 82 and what was going on in 82, this was pretty legitimate. That's a pretty impressive transformation given what they sound like in the 70s. So anyway, I don't have Love Drive right now. I pulled out Animal Magnetism, though, and I gave that one another shot. And, I think I liked it more than I ever have before, but I still think that record's kind of lame, man. There's just something about it that sounds sort of, I don't know, weighed down and just not really there to me. And I think it might just be that it doesn't have the hooks for me that some of the other ones do, so... I don't know, tell me what I'm missing on that one if you think that I should get that one and I just don't. But I fucking love Blackout, man. It's like I like the first 5, and then I like Blackout, and that's pretty much me and the Scorpions. If I'm at your house and you're listening to Love at First Sting, I'm not gonna get mad, That's fine. But I don't really need that record in my own stash here, Yeah, speaking of comeback records, if you want to call Blackout one, here's another one that's, I think, really good, man. I've said more than once, I think Perfect Strangers, speaking of Deep Purple, right, is probably the best ever comeback album. This is a pretty good contender, though. And again, I don't think it's as good a record as Perfect Strangers, but I also have more personal history with Perfect Strangers, so you don't take my word for that one. This record, though, is kind of a ripoff in that it's Budgie's new wave of British heavy metal record. It's what was going on in 1980, and they were like, let's jump on this. And by the way, the If Swallowed Do Not Induce Vomiting EP is basically the same quality and sound as this one overall. Then by the next one afterwards, they kind of went AOR and kind of sucked. And the last couple 70s ones before this one were just kind of like boring, like late 70s malaise records, So all of a sudden they came out with this one banger right in the middle there, like Blackout. And then kind of went to shit again, So, generally speaking, it's funny, same as with, in fact, come to think of it, so I was thinking I like the first 5 Scorpions records, and I don't like Love Drive or Animal Magnetism, but I do like Blackout. I also like the first 5 Budgie records, and I don't like If I Were Britannia or Impeccable, but then I do like Power Supply. Am I forgetting one in there? I don't think so. That's funny, that's the same pattern like that, man. Maybe that has something to do with like the golden ratio or something like that, or like the fucking Fibonacci series or something like that. Yeah, someone in the chat, in my comments actually, mentioned this one recently too, so I pulled it out. Metal Rush by Maltese Falcon. I don't know, man. There's nothing wrong with this record. This is a very good record, okay? This is one I can pull out and enjoy pretty much any time, because you see those guys? They pretty much deliver that. But that's kind of all they deliver, too, you know what I mean? I don't really feel like this is a really special record. I want to love it. I want to be able to sit here and say, oh yeah, this is fucking... I just noticed the special thanks to Ken Evil Destroyer Anthony. If you can see that there. Anyway, this is a really good record. It's not like, it's not going to make you sit up though and go, oh, holy shit, what's that? You know what I mean? It's not, if you hear this for the first time, it's not like you're hearing Melissa for the first time, okay? So, I don't know, it's a fun record. There's nothing wrong with it. I have a couple Uriah Heeps here I don't even feel like showing because they're later crappy ones. Seriously, I already talked about that other fucking record, so I don't really feel like pulling out this one again and talking about how I've struggled with it. I've kind of come around on that one. It's a shitty record, though, man. That record is a lot of things, but good is not one of them. But that doesn't mean I don't like it. Here's another one that came up when I was streaming, actually. I played it after we finished. I actually enjoyed this one more than I remembered. When I got this is one of those where it came up for sale. I'd sort of been keeping an eye out for it. It came up for sale cheap, so I was snagged it. But I was listening to mostly jazz at the time, so I might have played it once, but I didn't really give a shit. I was like, it was one of those where I was like, I'll be glad I have it later. Well, now I'm glad I have it because it's really fucking good. And it's on the glammy end of the spectrum, okay? But this is the kind of glam I can totally hang with. First of all, look how fucking low budget it is, man. And by the way, check out all these fucking autographs and shit. Your copy of this may be in better condition, but yours isn't fucking signed by the fucking drummer saying, play it loud, yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. This fucking dude right here. Yeah, anyway, I mean, you look at this, and it's like with songs like, Rocks You and shit, it seems like it might not be so rockin'. But, like, Nuclear War is a banger. Fucking Blind Eyes. And like the bad songs are just like, oh, I'm ready for the next one now. It's not like you want to kill yourself or anything like that, So, yeah, I really like Rocks. These guys are from, like, Tennessee or something, too, I want to say. Yeah, it says Nashville, Tennessee. So there you go, man. You know who else from Tennessee is fucking Medieval Steel. And actually, they had the same sort of cover thing going with just the plain red with their logo on it. So, I wonder. Maybe there's some sort of, like, Tennessee conspiracy or something. This is a cool, weird one. I was talking about with someone else in the comments. There's an Italian one that's just kind of bonkers. I'm going to put it on for a minute. It's like the singer sounds like he belongs in a different band, but that doesn't mean it doesn't fit, because it actually totally does. Like, it really, really works. It's just sort of like they had a couple different ideas that didn't really quite belong together, but they did it anyway, and it came out great. And I have to say, if I were going to sum up in one sentence why I get excited by Italian records in specific, that sentence I just said might be it. Okay, so this is it. Check out that fucking label there. Yeah, the first song is called Rollerball. Versus there's a prelude, right? And then Rollerball, and then Do You Know Alan is the next song. Like, sounds like the most lame thing imaginable. I mean, that doesn't even sound bad. That just sounds like they put words together. I'm going to bump past this fucking intro because fuck that Bach shit. There's a little bit of bullshit at the beginning, but trust me, it gets really good. And hey, how many Rollerball fans do you know anyway? Fucking outlast the game. Apparently these guys made an LP after this. It's supposed to be like new wave or some like completely different shit. I don't know. Looks like they're from Florence. Like, it's really sort of straight ahead metal sound, right? But then he sounds like he belongs in the Damned or something like that, The Stranglers, maybe. I pulled this one out, too. I don't have anything to say about this one, though. It's kind of boring. There are a few of those here. There are always a few in the stack. Here's a cool one to hype a little bit, though. This is to keep the conversation that long. This is Blacklist. These guys have some really fantastic Accept vibes going on. And, yeah, I don't know where they're from. Oh, it says mastered in San Francisco, so there you go. Yeah, like, to say like an American Accept would be a little bit, it would lead you in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? Because these guys definitely have sort of a rock and roll sensibility. I think maybe betrays their Americanness a little bit. But the presentation, they've got a lot of sort of that kind of except kind of snarl. And not just the Udo thing either, but just sort of the attitude, sort of the punch of the riffs and that sort of thing. It's a really cool record, The Sign of Four by Blacklist. And yeah, it's not the easiest one to find, but it's not as expensive as some of the other ones because, I don't know. People don't like it as much as they should. Looking for a couple 45s now, ones that I forget about. So here's one, man. This is one that seems obvious to me because it's on Neat. And even though they only did this and like a song or two and a comp here and there maybe, I just always feel like everyone knows this one already. But if you haven't heard the Aragorn single, man, this is great. This is how fucking weird this is. Like, there's something so amateurish about it, you know? It's just fantastic, man. Yeah, Rollerball fucking slaps, man. But so does Aragorn, man. This is a new wave British heavy metal band, right? It's on Neat, Black Ice, back with Noonday. How fucking young those guys look. And this is a fantastic record. I think people have kind of figured out about this one in recent years because the price seems to have gone up a fair bit. You can get this stuff on comps and that sort of thing too. You just have to keep your eyes out and don't snooze on Aragorn if you don't know him. Usually I'm talking about shit like this that nobody's heard of, right? Ark, I know I've hyped that one not too long ago, so... Oh, here's another one, man. I think this might be even better than the first Crucifixion single, even though the first was more rare. This Take It or Leave It one is so fucking good, man. Both the songs are great. It's funny, because both those songs, those are like the two, like Take It or Leave It and On the Run are like the most used song titles in the new wave of British heavy metal. You can make a whole compilation with just songs with either title Take It or Leave It or On the Run. You can make it a double, maybe. So the fact that that's what they used on this thing, it's hilarious too. But out of this band's output, the Green Eyes EP I think is the weakest. And it's great, by the way. I just think it's the weakest of the three. And then I've always tended to put this one second and then the first one at the top. But I think I might be shifting on that one. I'll go ahead and show the first one though, just because it's a fun one to show off. Fox. Back with Death Sentence. Alright, well I'm running out of things to say. So I think we're going to leave it there with a little Rollerball. Thanks for watching.